some of our panelists have had some troubles coming, so ask for your permission in 5 minutes. We'll definitely go into this. Welcome. Thank you ever so much. Sorry if there be any noise from the
Testing.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to. Okay. So greetings, everyone. Welcome to the fourth is annual Africa Day panel discussion. It has been a wonderful moment preparing for this. I'm pleased to have you all at this point in time in this very lovely room. And for those of you watching on YouTube, we are pleased to have you. It's going to be a very, very interactive section this afternoon from 51 Gate Street here in Worcester. So I want to say happy pre-Africa Day to you. We have some very interesting topics to talk about. We are very hopeful that some of our panelists will try to enlighten your mind, give you some very important perspectives about Africa, and most importantly, to inspire our students. My name is John the Argentinian. I am the silent program coordinator here at ACE, and I'm going to be your moderator today. So I'm pleased to introduce to you three distinguished personalities, and they are here as panelists for our discussion today. So I want to say welcome to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start from this very distinguished gentleman, and he's going to have a minute to introduce himself. Thank you and welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Eric Yakuzi. I originally come from Uganda. I have been a volunteer for ACE in the past. Started out in 2020 during the pandemic, uh, pre to being to this wonderful building that you have here. So great work. And professionally, I work as a physician assistant.
Wonderful. We are always pleased to have you, and we look forward to these discussions. So, the lady at the moment is one of our very supportive volunteers, and she's a doctor, and we believe she is an inspiration for our students. Just want to turn it over to you. So,
Name is I'm so happy to be here. I'm originally from Ghana, West Africa. Immigrated here when I was 9 years old, and currently I'm a preventive medicine fellow over at the UMass program. So I'm very, very happy to be here with you. Thank you.
It's an honor having you. And we just gonna turn in a moment to the gentleman who needs no introduction. Before the formality, we want to say, Mr. Cascayo, you're welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Casca Yao. I'm the co-founder of the African Community Educational Program, and I'm glad to be here. I also serve as an accredited rep immigration, and I wear a lot of hats. But again, I want to say thank you and want to welcome each and every one of you this afternoon.
Thank you, and thanks for joining us. We have structured this panel discussion in a way. We're gonna have three sections or three interview periods. So after that, we expect that you can have some of the questions posed to these people or to me, or just something you want to think about, why about AIDS, about Africa, and just how we can move this forward. But we are very, very sure we can guarantee you it's going to be a very informative section. So beginning with our Eric. Eric is a wonderful volunteer. He's a role model. He has sacrificed a lot of time with AIDS, and he's into the sciences, which we believe is one of those areas most of our students should be trying to seek career path into. So having Eric here today is an opportunity to talk about some of his work he has been doing, and most importantly, what are some of the lessons you've learned from the U.S. Being a young child coming up and understanding the U.S. system and still being linked back to Africa. What would be some of these lessons to share to our medical practitioners or some of our students who have the fear of wanting to become doctors or physician assistants, but just don't know the way how? What would be some of the lessons to share?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons has to be that maybe sometimes we don't have family members who are in uh, this field. So I would say when I was starting out, it was only my mother who had worked as a nurse, but I didn't know, what a physician assistant was. You hear what a doctor is, but you don't have much detail into that. So I would say a good lesson is to seek out opportunities where you get to learn about those professions and meet the people who work in those professions and just gain more experience just out of your curiosity, gain more experience of those professions that you may be interested in at the time, or you never know later on down the line you may gain even more interest. So
Yeah, you actually have 3 minutes to do it. We'll hear more about like what could be some of these things to like serve as a strong guide to most of our students here at ACE. Like if you want to become a doctor or you want to become like a physician assistant or a nurse, what are the things to really look out for?
yeah, so I think when it comes to let's say A students, and I wish there were more here. I think one thing that they can do to get on this career path is use the opportunities around them that they have. So, for example, here in ACE, I'm sure a number of volunteers are in the medical field. Um, so, attending these sort of events, reaching out or taking advantage of us volunteers or individuals who come in to give lectures, reach out to them, ask them about their professions. I think something as simple as that would be helpful. Um, to just start on the career path. I also always say volunteering. We're here all because we, at some point in time, volunteered for ACE. And so the message I would give to those students is find a way to volunteer in whatever you are interested in. For me, I used to volunteer at a hospital. I used to volunteer as part of medical trips in different places, and that opened up opportunities for me. So that's something else that I think I would give as advice to the students.
Very interesting. From the physician assistant now to the doctor, and who is a female and being a very, very cognizant person of African culture, which is mostly patriarchal. We want to understand you being a female doctor. How could you have broken through the ceiling, understanding that these are cultural barriers, but now you find yourself as back? What's the message?
Think I would say for one, um, just I don't want to repeat what he's already said, but I would like to build on that. For one, I do believe in the American dream. Um, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm successful, and I'll hopefully keep soaring with the grace of God. But I will say that my perseverance, my value system, which, like my work ethic, I think all of that were qualities that were instilled in me by my African culture. And I would say, number one, stay true to yourself. Um, be bold. Don't uh, feel like, because, well, for me, I would say I'm a quadruple minority. I'm a woman, I'm Black, and specifically, I'm an immigrant from Africa, and I'm Muslim. So, not seeing yourself in the room, or in careers that you aspire to have, should not deter you from actually being bold and pursuing it. But yeah, just having that strong work ethic, staying true to yourself, and of course, taking opportunities to reach out to those who don't look like you, because you have no idea what they have to offer. Yeah.
I mean, that could be a very powerful message, but how have you been able to navigate through systems, let's say, like from high school to the college and seeing this clear path and seeing most of the young females like, it's not for me. What have you done to really encourage that come?
Well, like I said, I think, well, for one, I would like to thank my parents. So, I was fortunate enough to have a good foundation, a home life. Both my parents were very active in my life. Um, and like Mr. Eric here, I didn't know any doctors. I didn't have any doctors in my family, but um, I still had this dream and I still had this drive. And yes, sometimes it's intimidating being a woman, but there's so many characters that you will encounter that would um, like actually inspire you to continue because although yes, I'm a quadruple minority, I did see here and there some characters as I said that I felt that embodied everything that I wanted to be, and I just pretty much mirrored my path based on what I saw, and I wasn't afraid to ask for help. I'm the first to ask a question, and I think my being inquisitive and naturally um, just bold and strong really propelled me. So that's one of the things that I really try to empower my three sisters and just all the girls that I see around me.
I mean, that's been very visible here outside of the program and also our after school program. And like you may know, building relationships is one of the key focuses of our program. So having people like Eric, having Zilpha, it's just an amazing thing, and we look forward to more of these. So now I will take a moment to turn over to Mr. Kaskayao, who wears any hats, but we're going to look mostly into your capacity as a person into the era of immigration. We've seen presidents go, presidents come with different policies, but there is this huge gap of challenges immigrants and refugees face in this country. How is it solving these problems?
Uh, I would say it's never going to be easy. But as you know, the history of this country, America is built on immigrants, and we always want to advocate and then to push the message that people need to uh, get adjusted into this system and live a good life, American dreams. Yes, everyone may have different views, and they say, why should this population come to this country? But again, this is a country of opportunity, and also is a country that was created by God. It's not just the American themselves, and even for people that settle here, came from uh, all over the world. So for us today to say yes, this person is or this country is not allowed to come into this country or this state, or giving names to people. It don't work that way. But again, I think it's policy issues, and it's something that we will continue to advocate for. And the only thing that I would say is that if you came here as a migrant or immigrant, is always to obey the law, uh, to keep yourself in check, and follow the rules and regulations of this country. There is no way that you will come here that you will not get adjusted. It's a matter of time. It will take time, but there are ways out there. In the immigration policy, there are a lot of categories that people fall under. That is, first, you will falls on a waiver, 601, that you can do a waiver through the system, and then be able to adjust your status and to become someone to work for yourself and to support your family and your community.
So quickly before I leave you, statistics show that AIDS has had increment in number of cases leaving from high school to college. And you are essentially addressing some of the problem of, say, the Haitian refugees. What's the good news about that?
Uh, yes, for the past year and few months now, we shifted a little bit to welcome the Haitian community. Um, Knowing that I was just reading a little bit today, and got a couple of friends back home, not knowing that they came from Haiti. But the mother, some of them, their mothers are Liberians, and some of them, their fathers are Liberians. And so, having seeing this population coming at this time, we thought that we welcome them, and to make sure we do all we can that they can settle in this country and to acquire the best education, that they will be able to be responsible to support their family, to support their community. And not only that, others African countries that have been represented at this program, um, they continue to strive to make sure that the media goals, especially for the infrastructure that we build, that is not only to complete high school, but you have to go to college and get a degree and get a career that will make you to be a better person and get a better job to be settled in this country, to live good and for your family.
Get a degree, get a better job, and we found pieces of evidence to that because we have several of our students who are now into the ACE program as testimonials to that. So, I want to thank you and congratulations to ACE always. So
Thank you.
now we're going to turn back to Eric. Eric goes back to Uganda many times. He sees the structure over there. May not be exactly as the system here in the US, but I just want to remind you, or for the team of the Africa Day continentally for the African Union, is educate an African fit for the 21st century, building resilient educational systems for increased access to inclusive, lifelong quality, and relevant learning in Africa. A lot of things to talk about. What can African governments do differently, especially in the areas of health and education?
What do the African
What can they
governments
do
do?
differently?
What can they do differently? Um, it's hard for me to answer that question because I think I would have to know more about the different government systems in all the different African countries, and as well as their health systems, because Africa not being one country, there's many differences in different regions. I think if I was to sum it up, sort of my subjective opinion, non-researched opinion, I would, and some of these things they're already doing, but I would say definitely traveling to different parts of the world and seeing the different healthcare systems, seeing what works best, what works well, and adopting that, bringing that over, and also seeing what they can change about their existing systems. I do know for a fact that there is not enough doctors, or I should say, healthcare providers in general, in Africa. And then there are ones that are there also don't have a strong enough incentive uh, compared to, the other different jobs, I'll say, in the country. So you find that wonderful doctors who are there after a certain time, they end up leaving Africa to come abroad for better opportunities. So I would say to try to mitigate that, change the system around, put more funding in the healthcare system. And the funds are definitely there. Uh, you know, each country has a budget. They make a budget. They choose certain amounts to put towards health and to put towards other things. So I think there can always be a change where you say there are certain things that the medical field should have. There are certain things that we should be able to provide to our citizens. And you make that your goal, and then you try your best to reach it. So I think that would be my first answer.
You sound like you are about to head to Africa to take on like a ministerial job was able to learn on that. So back to you, Zalfa. You come from the Gold Coast, the place of great
Ghana,
Asian, say,
the place with the best jollof,
all
of
right.
course.
An argument because I was like, you have the
Oh,
best one,
please.
right?
You guys have jollof around this
Right.
place.
So from the Gold Coast, you are in place of many hills, a lot of experiences. But we want to like fit it more into the context of Africa.
Yeah.
And your story is very powerful. I must admit to that. I must congratulate you on that. So what can we take back to Ghana? From the Gold Coast to the city of many hills, from the city of many hills back to the Gold Coast. What could be the message?
Well, I kind of, Mr. Eric here, because my experiences, like my medical experiences have all been here. I can't speak too much into exactly what the issue is in terms of healthcare access and everything in back home. But I will say, um, definitely we need to pump more money into advocacy and to increase healthcare literacy, as well as just increasing more public health initiatives in general. But I think, unfortunately, we're also dealing with um, cultural issues. Um, there are certain things that we uh, need to work to destigmatize. Let me just say, for example, drug use is something that we don't talk enough about. Addiction, we don't talk enough about it. Transmittable diseases, we don't talk enough about it. And those who are aware of these issues, unfortunately, they lack the resources. And unfortunately, the politicians that are supposed to do what they're supposed to do, they can sort of politicize, healthcare and all these other issues. So um, we need to dismantle the systems definitely culturally and also systematically when we talk about just infrastructure and just things that um, worsen healthcare outcomes in general. Did I sort of kind of answer your question?
Kind of, that's
I know I said a lot of things.
yeah. But that was really interesting when you spoke about the cultural issues.
Yeah,
These are things that have lasted for decades, if not centuries.
yeah.
All right. So what could be the radical change? What can we expect from Africa?
From what I'm hearing from my colleagues, back home, things are changing.
Hmm,
I think love it or hate it, the internet has been,
true.
a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about the internet is that it's really educating the youth. Kids who don't have enough money to go to school, their parents don't have enough money to send them to school to learn these things. They can just pull it up right on Google. So slowly we are changing. We have a long way to go. I mean, we're comparing countries that lack infrastructure versus like to countries like the US. Kind of unfair. And I don't want to make it political, but it's it's slowly changing. I am hopeful, I will say. But it really does start with the youth. Um, Unfortunately, many of our parents and our grandparents, they're stuck in their ways. I mean, it's just the way of life. And I believe true change happens when the youth are actually empowered and to build a better system.
I think that sounded very positive. Good luck to Ghana. So back to
Good luck to
Mr.
Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Yao. I must be very honest. You wear many hats. You've had experiences in Cote d'Ivoire, in Liberia, and in like the BKS, the most hospitable of our society. It looks a little different from your country, Liberia. And you have been into NGO works for quite a long time. What's the difference? If you had an opportunity to sit with the president, like, what could be your message to him?
Uh, again, just to piggyback on the previous question concerning health and what have you, I would say to the African leaders, we need a fair share for every citizen on the continent of Africa.
What a fair share would be?
It means that distribution of our labor, not just in the center cycle or inner cycle, but young people, the youth of the nation, and even the citizen in your country, they should be able to enjoy the resources as you do as a leader. So I would say for once to change, we need a fair share in the African leadership, Africa as a whole, and respecting one another as the Bible says we are created in the image of God. Another thing that I would like to, if I was to go to Liberia and sit with the president today, I will tell the president that the country needs to move forward.
I have a ticket. I have to think.
Do okay, you have a ticket. Um, Looking at Liberia, got for independent 1847,
For a long time.
and infrastructure not been built accordingly. And in the 21st century, looking at other things that are taking place in Liberia at this time, it is very, very uh, shameful to the nation and also to most of the African nation on that continent. My message to the African leaders, first, they will have to invest into their citizens. Let's say in Liberia, if I'm not mistaken, less than 100 doctors in the whole country. That should be shameful. So I would tell the president of Liberia that you need to invest in education by either sending people abroad for study and then also increase the incentive so that they can stay within after their study to stay in your country to be able to serve. Um, and then build an infrastructure in your own country that will keep the citizen abreast.
It's a hard thing to tell your boss. It's almost time. We have 30 seconds.
Okay,
Yeah.
but again, I would say to the leaders of Africa, we got almost all the resources in the world. If you check the continent of Africa, there's no need to come and beg the European Union, to beg the United Nations, to beg the United States, because everything is in Africa. And if you do a research, I'm not killing everything that is here. Those things are taken from the continent of Africa, and then we run after it later. Um, Take for example, they will buy the microphone. Uh, yeah, but the microphone, the products are made or they are produced in Africa, and they give you $5, but now you come back and then you pay $25. So those are the areas that the leaders got to be strategic and how to invest in the resources and into their citizens so that the country can be built and everyone can have a fair share.
Fair share. That was from.
Can I add something?
Sure,
I know I'm not your boss.
sure.
You know, I know, sorry. I just want to add on to what you said. So pretty much what he's saying is we need honest leadership. Okay. The thing is, we have too many hands in the pot. And this is why I feel like the answer really lies in the youth. But unfortunately, we have older politicians who are still sitting on their thrones and are like refusing to leave their thrones. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it right.
I think the biggest question should be how can we break down the truth?
I think it's like I said, it's happening over time,
Okay.
and eventually they're going to bend.
Okay.
People are leaving. You know, we've all heard of the brain drain.
Okay.
People are leaving, and anyway, I don't want to
Yes,
build too far.
I can say safely there are some radical changes we saw in Senegal,
Yeah,
a very youthful president.
right.
We see a very youthful president in Burkina Faso, but not like a real democratic style of leadership.
Sure.
And I can probably say in Liberia, having a seated African president run for the second term and being defeated and without even like the National Elections Commissioner announcing conceding the defeat, that was a new day for Africa. So I think there are some prospects to talk about. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we are here at 51 Gate Street. We are having a wonderful time. It's the fourth Africa Day panel discussion. We have a few minutes more to go, and we have reached a very important aspect of this discussion. It is about your accomplishment. It's about your accomplishments as well. How can we sort of grab some of the interesting struggles, some of the tough journey, and say, you have ace, you can do it because Eric did it, Casca did it, Silva did it. So now you have 3 minutes to do that. That's a really tough task. We just want to narrow down what is that moment of a lifetime that can be shared with student ace to make sure that they can achieve some of the great things we've done.
What is that experience, that moment of a lifetime
Yes,
had that will
inspire our students.
sure. I would say I've had a number. I one that I remember is one time when I was working as a volunteer in Uganda, and I was working with physician assistants and doctors, and my job was to translate. And so a lady who had come into the clinic had come in to be seen. She hadn't been feeling well, and she was worried that she may have malaria, and she was worried that she also may have caught HIV from her spouse. And so we checked some labs for her, and my job, as simple as it is, was to tell her the results. And thank God, everything was negative. And so I just gave her the results. But just seeing how happy she was, she thanked me. In our culture, in one of the Ugandan cultures, um, you kneel down when you're very happy, and also when you're respecting a person. And this was an elderly lady. So usually it's actually me who kneels down, us kids, because I'm younger than her. So that kind of touched me, the fact that, she kneeled down to thank me, and, I didn't really do much for her other than giving her this good news. But I think the reason I say that was a wonderful experience is just how being in this position in healthcare, there's sometimes when you can make someone's day. And so that experience was one of those days. So,
One of
and there will be many of those for anyone who chooses to go the road of healthcare. So,
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, one of the lessons could be try to have a career, try to be a difference maker because if you didn't have skill sets, you wouldn't have been the one like making the day for that lady. So to all of our ACE students out there watching, Eric has set a very great example. You could be the next person. You could be the one making the day for Cascade and writing a check for ACE maybe. So we look forward to that. So Zilpha, it's up to you. What could be that one?
So I guess sort of to mirror what he said, just a personal story of mine. What really pushed me into healthcare to begin with was an experience of mine when I was a baby. Um, I was born and raised in rural Ghana, northern Ghana, and I had an accident, like many do. And there was a nurse in training, bandaged my wounds, did everything she could for me, and I probably would have been amputated had it not been for her efforts. And that was a light bulb to to my life, right? And I said, I want to do that for someone else. That was a spark for me. And I just, being the religious person that I am, I'm just like, oh God, I have two brain cells. I would always joke with myself, you know, make of it whatever you may. I will work hard. And that's how I started my journey. So really, I was touched by someone. Um, you know what I mean by that. Like in a positive way, and I just wanted to touch other people's lives. So I think us by just being shining examples of um, what it looks like to be successful African in this 21st century um is a positive thing for youth to see. And all we're doing is paying it forward because we were positively impacted. So that's really it. Have that goal in mind to assist humanity. And I believe based on your interests, you will be guided to wherever you need to be, and just hold steadfast your values, and don't lose a sense of yourself. Um, yeah.
That's wonderful. We're so pleased to have the Ace. Someone said to me, Casca has many stories. Some of the stories want to make you to put a ship in a cup of water. We don't want that kind of story today, but just some of those inspiring stories, like a journey from a refugee and talking to many refugees as professionals. What can we mirror from that? What can we copy to share with our students?
Oh, first of all, I would say if you came to this country, you just gotta focus, and you gotta believe in yourself. Despite people may say you can't get there. If you are listening to me today, I would tell you that anything that you plan and you are committed to doing it, you will be successful. Especially if you plans to go to school and to earn a degree and focus, you will do that. Because why? Likewise, all the children and most of 95 or 96% of our kids came as a refugee. And I myself, I came as a refugee. Looking at the situation on the ground, I never sat back to say, yes, I'm expecting people to take on the challenges to improve our community. But I stepped onto the plate to say, yes, there's no money, there are no resources, but this is in the little that I can do to change one's life. I would do it. And here we are today. Throughout the period of 17 going to 18 years, we have guided over 300 students, and most of them go on to college. Uh, I tells you, just a month and a half ago, I saw one of the kids that we started with, and he flew from Missouri and said, "Casca, I just came to. They call me Uncle Casca, and says that I just came to say thank you because I've joined the Air Force. I went to college, and now I'm in the U.S. Air Force for the past 3 years. I have to fly over here to just say thank you. You changed my life. I've just bought a big home for me and my family. And Uncle Casca, I don't get nothing to give you but to say thank you." And there are a lot of examples that we see out there. Some of them becoming medical doctor in the next few years. And I would say, um, keep pushing, do what you do, and do your best and focus. But don't let your story to hold you down, or through your story, let people tell your story and get inspired to do more. And this is where I come from, to be a part of this organization with other members of the staff, the volunteers, the mentor, the tutors, and the community as a whole, changing the dynamic of our lives to promote and then to improve each and every child that come to this program. And that's it again. I came as a refugee. I slept on the floor on Staten Island for 9 months in somebody's living room. So there's no story that you will tell me and say that, oh yes, because I'm in a condition, I can become this person. No, you have to endure the hardship to get to the higher heights. I just want to encourage you that there's nothing possible that you cannot do if you focus.
Well, an inspiring story. That has been a great journey. And we, Uncle Casca, we are happy for you. So now, for those of you who are watching and we have placed some comments or some questions, we want to check with our tech folks to know whether you have some questions for Eric, Zofia, or Casca, or just general comments as we try to search on that. In the public here, we are so pleased to have you. Your presence means a lot to us, and we are honored to listen to you. If you have a comment or you want to make the question or suggestions, we'd be very pleased to have that. So it's out to the public. You can just stand and say your name or be seated and say your name and share your comments or maybe your question. It's out to the audience. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Emil Somda, in Burkina Faso, uh, and right now I'm at the State Division of Africa. So I have a comments, but I will leave the comment about the politics and the healthcare system. But I will maybe ask a question about, for each of you guys. So you say that you have to believe in yourself, but it's not always easy.
Mhm.
Myself, I was a physician in Burkina Faso, moved here as an immigrant. It was not that easy, and then go back to school, private school, and then. So, have you ever deal with the imposter syndrome, each of you guys, and how you did or overcome this imposter syndrome, and what did you do to your ACE student to overcome the imposter syndrome?
All
Because
right.
myself, I struggle a lot with even for now. I still struggle, especially I come from French-speaking country, so it was not that easy. If you can share how you overcome this imposter syndrome, that can be good.
Thank you.
Thank
That was a brilliant question. We want to take
Good question.
one at a time. So,
Yes. Again, I will tell you, uh, if I told you that I came as a refugee, it was not an easy thing. Um, I will encourage you. The more you tell your story, uh, the lesser it will become. Uh, Before that, if I would tell my story before you, I would be crying because why? During the civil crisis, relatives, sister were killed. Like my grandmother was burned alive uh, while we were running away because she was old. She couldn't join us to run. Um, and get into the river, and some of our relatives got drowned in the river. Why we try to cross over. Uh, so it's not an easy thing to get over, but at the same time, uh, the more I tell the story, the more it, the lessen my way for addressing those issues and then crying. Uh, so many years ago, every time I'm telling you this story, I would start to tear down, I would start to cry. But until when I joined the medical school and then start to interact with most of those medical school students and the professor, yes, then I believe I started to calm down after telling my story over and over and then connecting uh, to resources and friends that will inspire me to move forward. Uh, yes, that will be my first start. There are a lot of specialists in this country or in this community that you can even talk to. They will have some time to counsel you, to talk to you, and to tell you how to go about it.
thank you. So far, any comments?
That is, yeah. And how do I follow with that? After that, imposter syndrome. When you first, started speaking, I was like, yeah. I mean, this is I can answer this easily. But the more, Mr. Casca, sorry, Uncle
Yeah,
Casca,
that's right.
spoke, I realized that this is actually a big deal. It's not something I should make light of or be flippant about. I will say the trauma that many of us have faced um, will worsen the regular professional imposter syndrome. Um, Mental health care is such a big thing, a big monster to tackle. As great as America is, we still have a long ways to go in terms of access, for everyone, for mental health services. But if you're able to reach out to a therapist or just someone to talk to, I think that would be really helpful just to deal with the trauma aspect. But as far as everyday, um, uh, what's the phrase again? The what was the phrase you used again? Imposter syndrome. I would say that it's a constant battle. Um, I'm constantly reminded that I am one of like my only kind in a room. So I think your tactic of speaking to people, speaking to family members, speaking to friends, um, will help. I to this day I kind of wince at any uh compliments because I'm just like, well, what are they talking about? Are they talking about me? Me? I don't know. So it's a battle that unfortunately will kind of always be there because you're a Brazilian, you're a minority. But when you add the trauma aspect, the trauma component, I think it could be very, very difficult. So I do encourage you, if you don't have resources to obtain mental health services, definitely speaking to family members. And I understand I'm privileged as a woman to sort of, be um, very open with my emotions. Unfortunately, in many of our cultures, men are just supposed to be strong and not talk about
You got
what's
it.
going on.
Yeah.
But I really encourage you to find a nice support system to talk about your journey, to talk about what you've accomplished, and then slowly, I feel like you'll start to see that the imposter syndrome is starting to dissipate. Um, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. So very, very, very helpful comments with it. Eric?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do echo what the last two panelists just said. What I can, the way I'm gonna answer it more from a like an academic standpoint, I guess, and give my example of the imposter syndrome is feel like there's always it's always gonna be there, some percentage of it. So what really, and I definitely experienced it when I was in my training. And what the advice that I got is fake it until you make it. And I use that until this day, and I will always continue using that. And you're never gonna have no matter how smart you are, no matter how well you prepare, you're always gonna have a hard time, especially in medicine, because it's just that challenging. And so, and I remember one time after like exams, and you don't know if you passed or you didn't, I would just take a walk, take a calm walk, see the beauties that nature has to offer. And so I would say definitely when you're feeling this way, don't beat yourself up too much. Have a getaway place or getaway space where you can kind of recenter yourself. And always just, you know, give yourself confidence. You also have to remember that you are coming into this country, into this new system. So you are learning. Not only are you learning a completely new system, but you don't have as much help as you you that is adequate enough. And so always remember that, you're not going to come from Africa and just come here and then just, be as good as someone who's who was born here, uh, how easy of a time they have it. It's always going to be challenging for you. The same way if someone came from America and went to Africa and had to learn that whole new system. So I'll say don't beat yourself up too much. Keep going every single day, and you'll get
And sorry, okay, just remember that your resilience has brought you this far. Okay, and you were meant to be here. You're meant to have whatever it is that you have, and that's it. You know.
How much more of words of encouragement from you? Thanks to you all. We will try as much as possible to keep you in the space of time, the most specified time, not to keep you longer. So we might only take two more questions, and we'll have the final round to have you concluding statement. So if we have another person, everyone.
Oh, I don't know, but
Look, so yeah, just before you come back, I know you want to wrap it up to leave, but just maybe a question more or a comment from the audience.
okay.
If not, I think it has been a wonderful time listening to Eric talk about reforms in the healthcare system, Zilpha breaking female barriers, Mr. Kaskaya pushing and pushing harder. We have come to a concluding point of this very important panel discussion. But just before that, I want to have 30 seconds for each one of you to give the title points, beginning with you, Eric.
Yeah, I think my message to students, to the A students especially, would be you can do it. Have belief in yourself, and don't be afraid. Never for one day think that you're not smart enough to do whatever you want to accomplish. And then my other message would be just thanks to Mr. Yao for all the wonderful work that he has done.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. It was an
Yeah.
honor having you. So,
Yeah. Literally he stole the words out of my mouth. Yeah. Believe in yourself and don't make any apologies, I would say, for your story, for your people, your culture. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you unique. That's your footprint on the world, you know. So, and then that's what's gonna push you and propel you into success. And I do want to also take this opportunity to say thank you so much. Like I've actually never heard of a program like this. When I first heard about ACE, I was so excited because I'm like, where was this program when I was growing up? When I was 9 years old and I immigrated here, I had an accent, my hair was cut and all of these things. I was being bullied for being different. To have a safe space for kids running away from trauma and seeking a better life is something that I can't like I'm just so fortunate to even hear about a program like this, let alone be to participate in a program like this. So thank you so much for everything you've done.
You're welcome.
and that'll thanks to Uncle Casca. Casca 30 seconds.
I will want to yield my 30 second to a special guest among us. Uh, we do have, I'm going to put you on the spot. We have retired ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Nigeria that works in a lot of African countries. So I think on this day, usually an ambassador in the country, they will send their comments, either on the newspaper or whatsoever. And I don't want to take it like that. I want to give my 30 seconds if you want to comment.
Enjoyed listening to this conversation. And yesterday was Tuesday. I just spoke at the naturalization ceremony
Oh,
at the Worcester Art Museum, and I was thinking too. Please don't miss going to be. No, I was going to say that you have to really be so impressed with yourselves to have come this far.
Yes.
And I sort of the end of my speech yesterday, I wrapped up with, we recruit in the foreign service for people who are adaptable and they can be objective and can, have the set of qualities that allow them to go someplace where they don't belong and figure it out and be productive. Which is exactly the experience that all of you have. In the foreign service, I worked with a daughter of Turkish immigrants. I worked with French Ivorian young women. I recruited a first generation Tibetan American who's now a consular officer in Vietnam. We have our current ambassador in Egypt is Kurdish and spent the first 2 years of her life in a refugee camp. Our current ambassador in Angola, third-time ambassador, was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and got his PhD in French linguistics at the then University of Zaire. So people like you are all over the foreign service because you actually haven't had in space that experience of trying to figure out someplace that's new and different. And so don't sell yourself short. Yes, fake it till you make it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
what I have to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Oh, merci, merci.
Thank you, Ambassador. And thanks to each one of you for making up the time to join us for this wonderful occasion. We were so pleased by your presence. As we wrap up, we want to say thanks to the entire ACE family for organizing this. You put a lot of energy into it, the thoughts, the ideas brought up this point. We want to say we look forward to the 25th, which is the actual Africa Day showcase. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. here at 51 Gate Street in the gymnasium. So come, let's celebrate. Let's do more together. Ace is here for you. He has been here for you and will be here for you. So we want to say thanks to Sean Egger. He has been the tech person doing everything. And I'm honored to have been the moderator, John the Engineer. Thanks to him very personally.
Photo? Oh, well,